Globally, depression is one of the leading causes of disability and is also a major contributor of the global burden of disease. Recent estimates from the WHO show that over 300 million people around the world are depressed. Kenya has been ranked 5th among African countries with the highest number of depression cases after South Africa, which has 2.4 million cases, Democratic Republic of Congo, 2.9 million cases, Ethiopia 4.5 million cases, Nigeria 7.1 million cases. Stigmatization of mental illness in Kenya is a common problem, so much so that the original name of a tertiary mental hospital in the country, Mathare Mental Hospital, has been changed and dropped the word mental so that it's only Mathare Hospital because many people were shunning it. Poverty and unemployment are among the leading causes of depression for the population. There is also an emerging trend of depression among the youth, especially those within the education system. This was significantly associated with the year of study, economic deprivation, and academic performance, among others. In terms of coping strategies to persistent depression, drug or substance abuse, especially alcohol, is common in the Kenyan context. It's an amazing, amazing time to be on the Woman Without Limits show. My name is Reverend Kiuna, and it's such a delight to have you right here on this channel. Do you know something? You are a woman without limits. Don't you ever let anybody limit you. You can do all things and then some. And I want to let you know that you're the only one who can stand in your way. Nobody can. You know the way we go saying, oh, this person stopped me, or that person did this to me. Nobody can stop you, not even the devil. It is you, only you can stop yourself. And so I came here to let you know you're a woman without limits. Get out of your own way and start progressing in life. Now today we are in an amazing moment, amazing time. I have a friend of mine that I love very, very much, and she wears so many hats. She's a psychologist, she is a counselor, she is a mentor, she is a coach, she is a mother, a grandmother, a wife, and now she is the chairman of Kenya Re. This girl is too much. Would you welcome with me, Jennie, Karina?
Thank you. Thank
Hey,
you.
Jennie.
Thank you.
And a golfer.
Thank you.
I even forgot to say that we golf together.
Yes.
We are golfers, and you know, we love it on the course.
Yes.
Maybe we can even just start there as we have this chat, you know.
I hear you. Thank you for having me.
Yes.
It's such a joy and a pleasure, and I declare that I am a woman without limits.
Amen.
And I admire you for the work that you do, inspiring, motivating, giving a charge to women.
Amen.
Because they can be who God called them to be.
Amen.
As much as your mind can conceive, you can achieve
everything.
So well done.
Thank you. Thank you, my darling.
Yeah.
It's so good to have you. How do you wear all these hats, and how do you even manage?
Well, God always gives you extra grace for whatever roles and calls he gives you in your life.
Isn't that true?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would ask you the same.
I know.
How do you manage so many
I know.
people, churches around the world? I mean, how do you do this?
I know. It's grace.
It's
Honestly,
grace. Yes,
it's grace.
it's
and
grace.
like you say, when God calls, he actually now gives you the grace to be able to handle it.
Yes.
Because otherwise you wouldn't.
Absolutely.
Because even when you look back, you're like, okay, how did I manage with children, with the husband, with church, with what? You know, and
Yes.
you would say the same thing.
Yes.
But there is grace. Now, Jennie, as we chat today and as we, you know, just get on with today's business.
Yes.
Today's business. We are talking about mental health.
Yes.
And it has become a taboo. It's a real taboo. It's like you can't even mention it. You know, because people are so embarrassed.
Yes.
Like they don't want to talk about it, and they don't even want to like be related with anything like that.
True.
But statistics are proving that we are in a very, very, very serious place when it comes to mental health.
Yes.
And maybe I would start by asking you, what is even that mental health?
Well, let's just put it this way, that the reason that people are, do not want to come out and talk about mental health or are shy about it or embarrassed is simply because of the stigma that is attached to mental health. When you think about mental health, what do you know about mental health? What's your experience about mental health? And for many people, they know about that madman or that mad woman at their marketplace.
Right.
In the village, or that person on the streets that has lost their mind.
Right.
But when we talk about mental health, it's not necessarily the absence of disease. It's purely about enjoying holistic health.
Right.
At a physical level, at emotional level, at a spiritual level, mental, and all aspects of a human being are encompassed around a good, healthy life so that you may be able to enjoy.
Right.
But most importantly, and something that has lacked in this season, is social wellness. When you lack a community to belong to, when you shut your house and you're in it all by yourself.
I know.
Yes. And this is as a result of the season we are in.
Yes, exactly.
At a global level, it is said that we are experiencing a VUCA world. A lot of volatility.
Right.
All right. A lot of uncertainty.
Right.
Okay.
And even as we go back, Jennie, from the Bible, from the Word of God itself, no, God never, ever created us to be isolated and alone and locked up.
True.
He created, even he himself, as God. The reason he created us was to communicate with him.
True.
To be able to commune.
True.
To be able to worship him because he couldn't worship him himself.
Yes.
Do you see?
Yes.
And so when you look at even the disciples, they would walk together 2 by 2 because nobody was ever sent alone by God.
Yes.
We are talking about the Creator.
Yes.
And so when now the world gets into a shutdown, so that's what you're saying is that could be the reason that it has escalated?
Absolutely. Because of the volatility, the uncertainty.
Yeah. Yeah.
What basically has happened, particularly in this season of COVID, is that there's a lot of change. And the change is in the manner in which we work.
Right.
The change is in the manner in which we live. And so a lot of people, work from home, and that is something that was not the norm. You have children that you're doing homeschooling, and so a certain level of the social engagement has actually gone down.
Right.
And as a result, it is easy for people to go through stress, anxiety, and depression, not to mention the level of a financial lack. Many people have lost their jobs. Many people have had to take lower salaries.
Right.
Others have had to support their relatives.
And relocate.
And relocate.
A lot of people have gone to upcountry.
Absolutely.
And they have relocated, so they have changed their entire being.
Yes.
Their livelihood, their way of living has all shifted.
Absolutely.
So that is playing a big role in mental health.
Actually, it is documented in psychology that moving geographically causes stress, anxiety, and depression. And it is equated to the level of losing a spouse. That's how serious it can get.
Are you serious right now?
Absolutely.
To the level of losing a spouse?
That's the magnitude in which someone can go through a process of loss and grief.
That's big.
Because you've moved from your social community, You've moved from what you know.
Right.
You have moved as a result of some volatility. You have moved as a result of ambiguity of your life.
You didn't choose.
You didn't choose to. Even when you choose, there's still a level of loss and grief. Yes.
And so that is really playing a big role when it comes to our mental capacities and mental health issues.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. You know, they say that Kenya now is number 9
yes.
in the world.
Yes.
Jennie, that's big.
I know.
That's huge. There are millions.
Yes.
There's 300 million people globally that are going through mental challenges as we speak right now.
Absolutely.
You
know, when we talk about mental health, it begins in a very subtle manner. It's the level of stress that you're going through. And there's nothing wrong with stress. Actually, stress is a good thing. It gives you motivation and inspiration to do something.
It grows you.
It grows you.
It matures you.
It matures you.
Yeah.
So without stress, you can have a bit of a lull. However, when stress continues for more than a month and beyond, and the levels are very high, you have to answer a simple question. On a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being I'm doing really badly, 5 being average, and 10 being I'm doing well. If you're anywhere under average in terms of stress for over a month, then you need to take some action.
So it depends on the period of time.
Yes.
Okay. So tell me, Jennie, so how do you now, as a person, help the person you're with? Say, for instance, you're married and you see that your spouse is behaving in a funny way. Because I have so many of those cases right now.
All right.
Where the spouse has changed, they are behaving funny, they are not talking, or they are over talking, they are stressing about small things, they are losing it over nothing. And so there's so much stress in the house. How do you now know that this is not just stress, it's beyond?
Okay, let's just look at what are some of the signs of depression. One of the things that happens is that if somebody has changed even their countenance, the way they show up, the way they groom themselves, if that has changed and they no longer have personal care and they don't care about how they look, that's a matter of concern. Are you sleeping, you or your spouse or somebody who is in your household?
So sleep is important?
Yes.
They must be able to sleep. Sleep
is very important.
Right.
In the absence of sleep is called insomnia. And that causes a psychological disorder. Are you sleeping too much? On the reverse, there are people that sleep and don't go to work. Call in. I'm not well. All they need is sleep. And so why do they feel like sleeping?
Right.
It's associated with a lot of fatigue. You are tired. You can't explain it, but you have no energy to do anything.
Right.
All right? And beyond that, you can have others that are very emotionally affected. They cry all the time.
For maybe nothing?
Yes.
Like even for small things?
Small things. You ask a question, and somebody
just cries.
Is crying.
Oh my God.
And so one of the things that I think for your daughters that they need to be very aware of is that when you've had a child, you do go through something that is called baby blues, and when it goes further, it's called postnatal depression.
Right.
And that can make you become all the things we have said. You're not sleeping,
you're
or sleeping
angry, you're crying for nothing, you're oversleeping or undersleeping, all those things.
And mainly, what the daughters will come and tell you is that my husband doesn't love me. He's never there for me. He doesn't do this or the other. He doesn't care.
Right.
But actually, they are going through a depression. So those are some of the signs that you need to be able to look at.
What should the husband do to be able to help her? Because it doesn't have to go all the way to madness.
Absolutely. It is important for men to know that when a woman has gone through childbirth, it's actually a very traumatic experience for every woman. And this is a season where they need a lot of affection, affirmation, and appreciation. And if you notice that it's not business as usual, it's very important to take action. And I'll tell you this, people usually think if I'm going to see a counselor, a therapist, or a psychologist, that I'm actually sick. You don't need to be sick to make a visit. You need to be proactive, because anytime you've had a baby, just know that you are predisposed
to mental
health challenges.
Right.
Now, number two, what family do you come from? Is there a history of mental health? Is there a history of indulging in drugs and alcohol? Is there a history of domestic violence? And by the way, today, according to the United Nations, if you think COVID is big, domestic violence is a shadow pandemic. So are you in a domestic violence experience? The thing is, it's not business as usual.
Right.
It is as a result of something. It could be environmental. Okay, you are uncomfortable where you are. Your job is giving me a lot of stress. You are not able to meet your targets at work. You've been fired. All those
are stresses.
Right. It could also be genetic, because mental health illness affects how you feel and how you relate with others.
Right.
How you show up. And so the thing is that as a result of any stress, then you can begin to be challenged. As a partner or as a colleague at work, do not ignore the difference that you have cited about your colleague or your partner. Take them to see someone.
Okay, so when you notice,
Yes.
Jennie, many times when you're married, the minute you begin to notice something and you call it out, the other person fights it.
Yes.
And they look at you like you're the mad one. Because
Yes.
even if you go to a mental hospital,
Yes.
they think you're crazy.
Of course.
They think they're well and you're crazy.
Absolutely.
Now, there is that dilemma.
Yes.
Because first and foremost, this is my husband or my wife.
Yes.
Like, what are you saying? What are you even saying?
Yes.
So it becomes very difficult to be able to deal when it comes to the two people.
I hear you.
Okay?
Yes.
So what would you advise? Like now, for instance, if you see something and you tell somebody, you're really like oversleeping, for instance, or you're really abusing.
Yes.
I don't like the way you're talking to me nowadays.
Yes.
You're aggressive, or you're abusive, or you're pushing, or whatever.
Yes.
If you see it and address it and they completely reject it,
Yes.
what do you do?
Well, one of the things that I must say to you is that you are not a specialist. You cannot come and say to me, I think you're going through mental health.
Yeah.
I think you have a personality disorder here. I think you need a doctor.
This one is sickness.
No.
Right.
So you cannot diagnose. However, you can bring up a situation that it's not business as usual. I have noted that you are a little more angry than usual.
Right.
Would you like to talk about it? And they will say, no, there's nothing wrong with me.
Yeah.
Now, what you basically need to do when it is personality disorders, you see, it's not severe.
Yeah.
It's just something that is off, and you can tell that there's something off. It helps to bring it into you and sometimes say, I've not been really feeling well. I'd love for you to take me to see the doctor.
Right.
Then you do your vitals, just a checkup. Both of
Right.
you can do and you need to have said to the doctor, I know that this person is struggling with something. Have this conversation.
Right.
You can also say, I need for us to just go and see the therapist because we are struggling.
Yeah.
We have so much conflict and I need to work on it.
Right.
Bring it to you so that it's not about the other person. Whenever you give it to the other person, they become defensive.
Yes.
They become angry.
And it becomes a fight.
And they are not going to cooperate.
Yeah.
So as a matter of fact, they'll be supporting you who has lost their mind as a result of your overreaction to the behavior that is presented. But when you get to the therapist,
Right.
you will go through, some assessments, both of you, and it will be very clear what both of you are struggling
going through.
with. The thing is, it gets to a level where there is no cooperation. When you really are struggling and you've hit depression, sometimes you cannot reason with someone about going to the hospital.
Because you're looking at things differently.
Oh, yes.
You're not seeing correctly.
And so basically at that point, it's when it becomes psychosis. And that's when it's really now mental illness. It's not about stress, anxiety, and depression.
It now needs a proper
psychiatrist.
Right.
Now, when it comes to that, there are psychiatric nurses that are available to come on site and be able to bring the client into the hospital or their facility, so that they can be treated. Ideally, I commend you even for discussing this topic, because mental health awareness is what is most important.
Yes, and Jennie, thank you so much for bringing that up, because when you're not aware, then you because people are fighting. Like now, when you talk about domestic violence, people are fighting, and they normally think that it's normal, it's okay.
No.
Do you understand? But it's mental.
The extent is ignored. You keep saying, my wife drinks too much, my husband drinks too much, she keeps bad company, she's irritable. I mean, when she's mad, she breaks everything in the house.
Right.
I recently interacted with one that did not just destroy everything in the house, but destroyed all the husband's suits. I mean, girls, if it gets there, just know you need a doctor.
Yeah.
But most importantly is, awareness is the heartbeat of therapy.
Awareness.
Awareness is the heartbeat of therapy.
Awareness. Are you listening today? Awareness. So you must be aware.
Self-aware.
Okay.
What's changing about you? What are you feeling?
And if your spouse tells you, don't ignore. Pay attention.
Yes, pay attention.
Yeah, think about what they've said.
Yes, not just your spouse, your colleague at work.
Yeah.
And when we talk about work, we encourage that they have wellness champions, all right? Even at church, you need to have wellness champions.
Right.
And I'll tell you this, you know, there are people at church that are overtly religious, all right?
They are deep. Yeah.
Anything that is excessive needs to be watched.
In fact, my next question was the balance.
Yes.
Like balance in life.
Exactly.
Because if you don't have balance, then you're likely to fall into that category. You can flip easily.
Exactly.
So it's very important to be balanced.
To be balanced.
Yeah.
Yes.
So even if it's prayer, which is very good, you can't now say all you do in life
is go to church.
Pray and just pray. And you don't do anything else but just pray.
Yes.
Well,
that
now you can put
challenge.
yourself in some serious trouble because your wife or your husband needs you, your children need you.
You've neglected other aspects of your life. How are you dealing with your physical? Are you caring about how you look in terms of grooming? All right? Are you eating well? One of the other things that happens is lack of appetite. All right? So you don't eat, or you eat too much.
Or you overeat.
Yeah. So you put on weight and you're wondering, so what's going on?
Right.
It's part of the depression.
Mental health. So
Mental
you need
health.
to check yourself. Why am I? So awareness is key. So that you can be able to see whether you're overdoing anything.
Anything.
Even good.
Even good.
Even if it's going to church.
Over generosity.
If you're overdoing church thing. Like you're forever, even when there is no service, you're
Absolutely.
there. When you're forever doing one thing that is just too much.
Yes.
You
including being over generous.
Hello.
Over generosity can be a situation of mental health.
Talk about it. That you want to maybe show like you're okay?
Well, basically what happens, it's you give because of what you want back. You give because you want to receive love, affection, appreciation. You want recognition. And so what is that void that you are trying to cover, to fill?
Yeah.
What's that void?
So you give because you want to hear somebody say, oh, you're too much.
Because you're struggling. Unfortunately, these things come from childhood. Sometimes it's as a result of how we grew up. We could have been abused as children.
kids, yeah.
We could have grown up with parents that were alcoholic, parents that had mental health issues themselves. So the environment in which we grew up lays the foundation for the functionality that we have as functional people in life.
Right.
So how did you grow up and how is it affecting you?
So Jennie, how come all the time when you talk about psychology, you always get back to how you grew up? How important is that?
According to psychologists, the first 9 years of your life determine who you are. So childhood is a very important season. Before you are 10 years, there are things that can be done to you, said to you, that will affect you in your adulthood.
Of your life.
All right? Most of the people that come for support will always regress to the fact that my father left me, my mother, left me.
I was
raped, abused, mistreated. It goes to that. And so what I would say is that if you really want to live a full, healthy life, deal with whatever issues that you have,
so the underlying,
including that. And sometimes you don't actually need to be going through any issues. You just want to do a check-in. Am I okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's do an assessment and see.
Right.
All right.
And we're going to do, Jennie, I want us to really go through that assessment, as we progress on this program, just to be able to see how somebody can find themselves.
Okay.
And even be aware of where they are and what they need to do.
They are struggling with identity issues. Who's my father? Who's my mother? Maybe the father walked out a long time ago. And the mother is saying, I don't know where he went to. And so why are you waiting for them to become teenagers before dealing with the real issues?
Right.
You need to have conversations and let them know this is basically what happened. Whatever you do, don't lie to children, because they will discover at the end of the day
that it was a lie.
That it was a lie.
Tell them the truth.
Tell them the truth. You need to apply your cognitive in terms of intellectual.
Yeah.
Be very aware how you're feeling.